the peak volumes were in December.
There's a chance for a kind of new internet to be created.
We saw this massive run up.
One of the better entry points that we've had in a long time.
I don't see any value at all.
Is a new foundational infrastructure that we can build on top of.
Anybody who spends the time to look into what is this asset class, why is it important, why does it have such potential, they come out of it being a believer. The infrastructure is being built. The custody solutions have to get rolled out. But frankly, for 12, 24 months, they've been researching and trying to build investment theses. And so we're really, really close to that happening. So like I said before, I think 19 is going to be a big year. I think the second half of this year, I think we have to see some consolidation. But the infrastructure will be there, and then it's who's going to be first.
You know, new assets like Ether really represent a commodity that's maybe a little bit more like oil. It's a commodity that you need in order to, fuel applications built on top of it. And that's, I think as investors look at this, they can invest at the kind of protocol level, at the infrastructure level, and then increasingly we're starting to see apps that are built on top of this. And that's really where I think we're going to start to see, more of the exciting opportunities as we go into the second half of this year, as the focus isn't just on these core commodities like Bitcoin and Ether, but it really gets into the applications and higher level utilities that people are building on top of it.
We believe that there is sufficient liquidity, we believe there is pricing benchmarks, and we believe that there is a way to integrate Bitcoin into the financial ecosystem that we are used to for ETFs, stocks, bonds, and commodities. Bitcoin is used as digital gold today. It's a de-risk asset. Basically, if someone wants to outlay systematic risk, then one would go to assets like gold or digital gold, Bitcoin. And investors are looking at uncorrelated assets to their portfolios. So I would say, as a message to investors, Bitcoin is 2/3 a safe haven asset or digital gold, and 1/3 trades like a tech stock.
So for BitBEX at least, we've actually expanded our share of the market in 2018, and we actually had our best month in March. But definitely for the spot exchanges that don't have any leverage, the peak volumes were in December. And I think we've seen them pick back up slightly. We'll definitely see volumes increase if we continue this rally. But as I said, I think through third and fourth quarter has generally been a very positive time for Bitcoin because everyone's come back from their summer vacation.
But what this is, more than anything else, is a changing sign of the times. This technology, the blockchain, is enabling things like Bitcoin to work and to scale. And as volatile as it's been, we see it continuing going up over the long term. We're not in the business of speculating on the sort of short to medium term prices. The reason we were that first check in Coinbase was because we believed in the underlying technology. We felt that if this worked, if blockchain and this notion of a kind of decentralized currency would work, there would need to be someone to handle the fiat to crypto transfer, and we thought Coinbase would be the winner, and so far they've proven out to be.
In 2017, that number actually fell. And that fell to 37%. That's because last year we had ICOs and a lot of new projects and people got very excited. And I think a lot of folks thought this is how the year would play out, that the dominance would fall. But instead, Bitcoin's dominance has actually been creeping up. In fact, in the last couple of weeks, it's actually soared to the highest level all year, and it's at about 48%. So it tells us that the news that we've seen from the SEC saying Bitcoin's a commodity to ICE's announcement and the potential for an ETF is causing investors to decide that Bitcoin is the best house in a tough neighborhood. And so I think Bitcoin dominance is actually showing the market is reacting to what's been taking place.
And if Bitcoin's a store of value, the total addressable market theoretically is huge, right? You have M1, M2, gold potentially as an analog. So how much of that market have we captured? If we're looking at Ethereum, maybe the total addressable market is the market for compute capacity, right? Cloud compute capacity. There are a lot of different analogs. So TAM, or total addressable market, is one. The second we could look at is users, right? So what are the number of people who are actually using these assets on a day-to-day basis or month-to-month basis, from speculation to specific utility? And that, I think, again, a lot of this technology is really immature. It's hard to use. The apps are really clunky. And so we're not seeing those numbers today.
Remember the 20,000 that was period? Well, obviously that was the blow-off short period. Yeah. These keep going down. I had Udi Makati on Thursday last week. Now, he's the CEO of CyberArk, 52-week high yesterday. And he is saying, look, here's what's happening with Bitcoin. state-sponsored terrorists and really smart guys are getting into a system of a major public company and using all the electricity to mine a lot of Bitcoin. And I'm like thinking this thing has really become like an outlaw currency. And I think that crypto, I'm not saying its time has passed, because then it'll be up 3 cents tomorrow and people say what a hack I am. But there is a notion that the sun seems to be setting in this 6,000, 5,000. Maybe we get back to a level where it actually is, maybe like 800,000.
Yeah. Well, I am desperate. I'm desperate to be short the CBOE September Bitcoin futures contract. I'd sell it at 6,200. Looking again for another one of these failures. My target to the downside would be 5,500. My stop to the upside would be 6,450. The hopes for an ETF are the only thing supporting Bitcoin right now. I don't see any value at all. It's even worse than gold. I want to be short.
What you're seeing now, from my view, is a bit of panic selling. Investors that were in it maybe caught the hype in November, December, or projects that raised funds in Ethereum or Bitcoin are now panic selling out. So when I look at this, to me, it's one of the better entry points that we've had in a long time, particularly when you view it against where support is for Bitcoin, which is somewhere around 58, 5,900, as well as the short interest, which is almost at records.